Welcome to the Reality of Herbal Therapy podcast, episode 54. So today I want to talk to you a little bit about the liver cleanse. Yeah, but before we begin, we want to inform you of our disclaimer. Do not feel that by listening to this podcast that we have dispensed medical advice to you or have given you the ability to treat yourself or others with this information. We do not directly or indirectly dispense medical advice or prescribe the use of herbs as a form of treatment for sickness without medical approval. It's not the intent of this podcast to diagnose or prescribe. The intent is only to offer herbal information from the herbalist's point of view, only for your consideration. In the event you use this information without your doctor's approval, you are prescribing for yourself, which is your God-given right. But the publisher and authors assume no responsibility. All right, my friends, let's talk about the liver cleanse. So, if you know anything about like what I've been talking about, I had that liver issue where I got really sick and couldn't hold anything down and vomited quite every once a month and once a week, and then it culminated in my liver shutting down. So, after we went through everything with Dr. James and he ran me through all sorts of things to get my liver better, he said, okay, you need to do the liver cleanse often. And by often, he usually talked about every couple of weeks or once a month. So afterwards, I probably did the liver cleanse probably once a month because as we talk about, I'm going to share some insights that I've gotten from doing the liver cleanse so many times. And I still do them often, probably once every 3 or 4 months now, just to make sure I don't get back to that place where I was, where I had so many issues. So let's talk about the liver cleanse. So I'll put down in the show notes the link to the process on how to go through this and do it. But I want to share some, as we walk through each step of the liver cleanse, I want to share with you some of the things that I have learned and experienced. So really important, first thing, which isn't part of the liver cleanse itself, but I had noticed a major difference if I kept up with taking either Live Clean or the Full Body Cleanse, which Live Clean is in the Full Body Cleanse, at least for 2 weeks before I go in and do this liver cleanse. I get rid of a whole lot more stones. It's actually easier. I have less problems. I have less issues, and it's not that the liver cleanse, it can be brisk, but something that I've realized is that our body will store emotions and certain things in certain areas, and especially if there's a lot of emotion tied to something like a certain area of our body. So if we broke our arm and the emotion around breaking our arm, our body will actually store it in the muscles around our arm. That's where it can store the memory of the event. Well, because I had so many issues with my liver, I actually stored the memories of having those issues in my liver, and sometimes going through this liver flush will actually bring them to the surface, and there's some emotional things. So when somebody asks about doing the liver cleanse, I always tell them, take it easy the first few times to make sure you don't have those emotional things stored in that area, because they're going to come out along with the cleanse. So let's talk about what to do. So before you do the Live Clean or the Full Body Cleanse, and that makes it a lot easier on you. It makes it an easier cleanse on the body. So the liver cleanse, I usually like to give myself 2 days for the liver cleanse. And like I said, there's some emotional things that come with it. Not every time, but sometimes the emotions come up, and so just the knowledge of I'm going to be doing the liver cleanse brings up some of those emotions, and so to prepare myself for that. So the day that you're going to do the cleanse, you want to avoid any oils, any medicines that you can do without, basically because you want to give your liver a break. You want your liver to kind of not have to do so much during the day. so that it can actually build up some pressure, build up some bile behind it. So then as it pushes everything out through the gallbladder, it will flush out the gallbladder. So avoid fats, oils, any foods that require heavy digestion. It's really good if you can do vegetables, and either lightly cooked or raw. It really helps also. It helps to basically your body doesn't have to put so much work into digestion, and you'll actually build up some bile, so you'll have pressure behind you'll have the pressure behind it to push out stones and everything out of the gallbladder. So the day of, and you go to 2:00. At 2:00, that's the hard deadline. You stop right there and do not eat anymore. Now, something that a lot of people have asked about, and I have noticed it actually goes easier if I keep drinking water, because part of the flush is it's going to flush out your bowels, and so you want to have plenty of water in your system to do this. So don't cut back on the water. After 2:00, you can keep drinking water, but only water. No juices or sodas or coffees, teas, anything like that. Only water. So from 2:00 until the evening as you prepare for this. So after 2:00, you can gather the things. So you'll need 4 tablespoons of Epsom salt, and there's different grades and different things. So like the better the Epsom salt, the better results you're going to have. And then you'll need a half a cup of olive oil and 1 or 2 grapefruits, depending on the size. You want to get about 3/4 of a cup of grapefruit juice. And so I like to get those ahead of time if I plan on doing a cleanse. I like to do the cleanse on Friday because I know I'm going to be down Saturday and not be able to do a whole lot. So I like to have a whole day of nothing. And then if it becomes like if the emotions are too strong or I'm not totally recovered from it, which doesn't happen very often, then I also have Sunday to rest. So if you have 2 days together where you can rest and recoup from doing the cleanse, that's a really good thing. So after you have the 2:00 deadline, no more food. And then at 6:00, so there's 2 ways you can do this. And I found, so the Epsom salt mixed in water, you can mix all of your Epsom salt in a quart of water, and then you drink like a cup of it, and it tastes nasty. That was, on occasion, that was some of my emotional hang-ups with doing the liver cleanse. So if you can find it in capsules or even encapsulate yourself, that will make it a whole lot easier. And because it's a salt and they're crystals, they encapsulate really, really easy. And we're even like talking about supplying it as well. So you want 12 to 15 capsules if you're going to encapsulate, of the double-aught capsules, the same size capsules that we use. 12 to 15 of those capsules for each dose. If not, you'll have the water with the Epsom salt, and it's not very pleasant to drink. Just suck it down really fast and go on with everything. So you do that at 6:00. Now, timing is really important with this because your body follows a certain cycle. So you want to make sure you do everything on time so you can do the cycle. So at 6:00, you do that first dose of the Epsom salt and water. At 8:00, you do the second dose. And by then, sometimes my bowels are really, really loose. Sometimes they're not as loose by 8:00. It just kind of depends on what I've eaten beforehand or like for the few weeks leading up to it. And if I've been really good about taking Live Clean and the full body cleanse beforehand, that really makes it so it makes it really, really easy. So I can't stress enough, Live Clean and full body cleanse for at least 2 weeks before you do a cleanse. So at about 9:30, 9:45 is when you start and you make the olive oil and grapefruit juice, and fresh is best. Fresh squeezed grapefruit juice it emulsifies the olive oil and makes it work a lot better in flushing the liver. So once you've mixed up your olive oil and grapefruit juice, then you're going to want to, and it depends on where I'm at, whether I have Lynn help me with that or if I can do it by myself. And anytime you're doing a cleanse like this, make sure you have somebody else around in case, because you're stirring up a lot of toxins and a lot of buildup in your body. And so you want to have somebody around just to like make sure you're okay and to be with you throughout the whole thing. So make up the juice, and surprisingly, the Epsom salt and water is really nasty, but the grapefruit juice and olive oil is really not bad. I don't mind it at all. But you want to mix it up really, really well. By 10 o'clock, your bowels are extremely loose. I mean, it's very, very loose. Your squirt, it's liquid, and generally there'll be bile, like it'll be really yellow coming out and stuff, which means that your liver is starting to flush, but there's not enough pressure behind it. That's what the olive oil and the grapefruit does. So go to the bathroom one more time, flush your bowels. And I like to take the grapefruit and olive oil with me and shake it the whole time, so I get it really, really well mixed together. And I think that helps with the flavor of it, because you don't have a really strong olive oil. The grapefruit kind of covers that up. So then at 10 o'clock, you want to go and drink the olive oil and grapefruit juice, and drink it down pretty much as fast as you can, because you're going to want to lay down. And I prefer to lay down on my back and trying and go to sleep. But quite often I'll lay down, and you can actually feel, depending on how many stones there are, I've actually been able to feel the stones kind of moving out of my liver and gallbladder and being pushed into my stomach. But I usually lay there and try and go to sleep. And because of what the Epsom salt does with the bowels and stuff, it usually kind of wears me out, and it's pretty easy to go to sleep. So then sleep through the night, sleep as long as you can. And that is like the major gist of the cleanse. So basically you've pushed everything out of the liver. So now you've got 2 more doses of the Epsom salt and water. And again, you can drink water throughout this whole thing. And I like to keep my water up just so I don't get dehydrated or anything like that during the cleanse. So in the morning when you wake up, and you want to, at least by not before 6 or 7 in the morning, and you take your first dose of the Epsom salt. And what that does is it will keep the bowels moving. So first thing in the morning, you're going to have your bowels will move, and it's going to be very liquidy, and there'll be bile, and sometimes there's stones, sometimes there's not. But I take this first dose, and then I go back to bed, because it's kind of taxing on your body. So go back to bed and rest through that. And you'll need to get up if you back and forth to the toilet, and that's when the stones really start to come out. So make sure you note down what time you did that first dose, because exactly 2 hours later you take your last and 4th dose of the Epsom salt, and that basically moves everything. And in that last hour, so like if you woke up at 7 a.m. and did that first dose, then you do the next one at 9 a.m. Between 9 and 10, that's when I get rid of the majority of my stones. And everything else that I'm getting rid of, that's when the bulk of the cleanse really does its magic. So you've done the 7 and the 9. Then at 10 o'clock, you can start introducing juices and herbal teas if you want and start doing that. Avoid coffee or black teas, white teas, green teas, any of those. They have extremely high acids that will basically you've completely stripped your digestive tract with the Epsom salt, so you don't want to put those heavy acids and things in there. So soft herbal teas, chamomile, peppermint, spearmint's okay, something like that, or fruit juices, but you don't want anything that's like really cleansing juice. And in fact, I like to dilute any fruit juices that I do at that 10 o'clock hour, and I just take it slow, just drink little bits and stuff. Then by 11:30 you can start to introduce foods, but again, like you did the day before, avoid anything really oily or anything that requires heavy digestion, like meats or anything like that. Raw vegetables is great, or lightly steamed, something like that. And then so about 12:30 or 1, you're pretty much back on your feet and doing pretty good, unless you've really had a lot of problems doing that. And that's pretty much all there is to doing the liver cleanse. And you can repeat this every 2 weeks. I've had people ask, they're like, "Oh, I had no problem. I could do it quite often. I can do it over and over and over again." And they'll do that first cleanse and think they can do it again in a week. And we always encourage them, it's better to wait 2 weeks. And then they go to that and do a second cleanse, and you've really stirred things up. And you've really moved a lot, and so make sure you give yourself time to recoup from doing it. But there are people that will do 15 or 20 of these a year without any problem. Basically, the more you do them, the easier it is to do it. But it's not a have to do all the time. But because of what I went through, I strongly encourage to do it at least once a year. Clean out your liver, because the liver is it's kind of like the trash compactor of the body. Any chemicals or anything like that you get built up in your body, the liver has to process them and try and move them out, and sometimes it can't, so it will wrap them in fat, and that's how you can get the start of a stone, and then calcium or whatever gets built around it. And there are certain foods or toxins or whatever. The liver's in charge of getting rid of that. So that's why I would encourage you to flush your liver at least once a year. So if you have any questions for me, reach out. We'd love to hear from you. And then we will talk to you later.